What about the armed forces, ironically called the security forces? They are an unbelievable number, 175,000 strong. I remind you that Australia has only 91,000. Australia, with all its overseas commitments, 91,000, and this miserably poor country, living on handouts from the rest of the world, has 175,000 strong, with no overseas commitments, nothing. 99% of this armed force, 175,000, are Sinhalese. Some 50,000 of them are in Jaffna, in the north, where 99% are Tamil speaking. You might ask what the army is doing in Jaffna. Well, it's a security force, so it's securing Jaffna. Securing Jaffna from what? From whom? From the Tamils. They don't need to secure Jaffna from the Tamils. The Tamils are not going to run away with Jaffna. It has nothing to do with securing. It is an army of occupation to intimidate, bully, and harass the Tamil civilian population. And they behave like an army of occupation. They are the main cause of insecurity and the violation of human rights of the Tamil civilian population in the north and the east. Nothing has been spared. Schools, hospitals, churches with hundreds inside, Hindu Kovis, markets, the Jaffna Public Library, homes, businesses, it's all fair game. Through some of this destruction quickly, this is the Nawari church, as you can see, bombed. These are the people who are inside the church taking shelter, 120 dead from this atrocity alone. Hindu temples bombed, destroyed, more than 1,600. It was up to 1990 and many more since. Hospitals bombed. This was a major teaching hospital in Jaffna. Thousands of homes have been bombed. You can see a couple of them here. Schools with those who are inside. There's one of thousands of children killed. You can see the school. Businesses destroyed. Markets, scores of them bombed. A war against the Tamil people. Fishing boats and entire fishing villages bombed and destroyed. Unbelievably, with all this violence and bloodshed, there was a ceasefire in February 2002 after a change of government, and Ranil Wickremesinghe's United National Party from the other half of the Sinhala polity replaced the party of Chandrika Kumartunga. Despite Kumartunga remaining president, Wickremesinghe took charge as Prime Minister, and he signed a pact with the Tamil Tigers. And for the first time in a long time, the guns were silenced and the killing stopped. That was February 2002. After the end of President Kumartunga's term, the new president was Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was the former Prime Minister. Rajapaksa was elected in November 2005. At the presidential election, he requested and got the backing of the Sinhala Buddhist chauvinists and hardline Sinhalese extremists, on whose back Rajapaksa was elected to power. Having got into power, he decided to abandon peace talks and embark on a military solution, backed by these hardline extremists, both in the military and outside. Let me turn to this major problem of politically active Buddhist monks. I stress that not all Buddhist monks are politically active and behave as the way that you're going to see, but an awful lot are. They see Sri Lanka as a Sinhala Buddhist nation, as I've said, and that any concessions, however minimal, to the Tamils by way of power sharing as a sellout of a Sinhala Buddhist nation to the Tamils. Today's greatest advocates of a return to war are sections of the Buddhist clergy who wield enormous power in Sri Lanka, in the villages, in towns, and even in parliament. Here are some of them in action in 2006. Here are hundreds of them blocking the road in Colombo, protesting against the peace process and demanding a return to war. On the 26th of May 2006, last year, Sinhalese peace activists in Colombo, many of them Buddhists, started a peace rally because they said that the return to war was not an option. They had to settle the problems with the Tamils by peace negotiations. That was not acceptable. To these followers of Buddha, I might remind you that Buddha, one of the greatest teachers of peace and non-violence the world has ever seen, these are the supposed followers. They invaded this rally and broke it up. Here are some worrying figures recently released by the Nordic Sri Lankan Monitoring Mission in February 2007. As I told you, there was a peace pact on the 22nd of February 2002. Between 22nd February 2002 and November 2005, less than 130 died in those 3.5 years, not surprisingly, because the guns were silenced. Then came President Rajapaksa, elected in November 2005, and the figures are that between then and now, the 22nd of February, nearly 4,000 have died, a large number seriously injured, and thousands of families fleeing from the area of fighting. In just 15 months, the death toll has risen from 130 dead in 3.5 years to 4,000 dead in 15 months. Shows you the cost of Rajapaksa embarking on a military solution. Massive violence has been unleashed against the Tamils after President Rajapaksa got into power. I will just focus on 5 for the lack of time. There have been major massacres of Tamil civilians. There have been about a dozen. I will show you just a couple. There has been a blocking of food supplies to the Tamil north. There has been the prevention of fishing and agriculture, the two main sources of work just for the people to live in the north and the east. There has been the execution of aid workers working in these areas and the attempts at a mass displacement of people in the Tamil East. You'll see all this. Let's focus on the massacre of Tamil civilians, including children. This is Mannar in the northwest, Jaffna, islands off Jaffna in the north. This is the northern province, in the middle of the northern province, the 4 large provinces currently under the control of the Tamil Tigers, and Trincomalee in the east. There have been much more than this, but let's just focus on these 5. Mannar is mainly a Catholic and a Muslim area. This is the famous Madhu Church. I just showed this slide just to show the number of pilgrims that come to Madhu. Now, a couple of kilometers from Madhu on the coast is Pesale. And at Pesale there is a church, the Lady of Victory, the Church of the Lady of Our Lady of Victory in Pesale. On the 17th of June 2006, there was a massacre in that church. The problem was that the Sri Lankan Navy had got into an encounter with the Tamil Tigers off Pesale and had not done too well with that encounter, So when they returned to the shore, they shot every Tamil fisherman they could find. The rest of the people in Pesale panicked and ran into the church for shelter. There were some 2,000 to 3,000 Tamil refugees in the church when the armed forces broke windows and even shot through the keyholes, killing and wounding scores of refugees. The Bishop of Mannar confirmed all this.